Foolish mortal, you have inadvertently tuned into the forbidden frequency. It's Zombie Astronaut's Frequency of Fear.
I'm almost finished with a punch. How are the hors d'oeuvres coming along?
Almost finished. I just have to stick the toothpicks in.
Let's see, need to find some Christmas music. No, this is actually good. No, this is somewhat listenable. No, this is merely bad. I need something that will truly put the fear of Santa into people. What's this? Oh, good gravy, this is terrible. This isn't even music as I understand music to be. Perfect. Already? Maybe it's Dr. Despicable. He did say he was coming over early.
Hello, Zombie Astronaut!
Dr. Von Martinez!
Hi there, Zombie Astronaut.
Hi there, Adolf.
Here!
A redwood tree. Thanks. Not really sure how you got this through the secret entrance. You're a little early, aren't you?
For Arbor Day? I thought I was a couple of months late.
Dr. Von Martinez, this is a Christmas party.
Christmas? What is this Christmas you speak of?
Please tell me you're kidding.
I know Arbor Day, Grandparents' Day, Monkey Day, National Gorilla Day, No Pants Day, Towel Day, Day of the Ninja.
I've never heard of most of those. Listen, there must have been a Christmas episode of Who's the Boss?
I must have missed that one.
You make me crazy.
Would you like an aspirin?
I have to finish getting Christmas dinner ready. Would either of you like punch?
Not in the face!
I'd love some punch.
Here you go.
Thanks.
How do you like it?
Oh, it's great.
Maybe that's Doc. Say, Adolf, would you mind putting on some more Christmas music and maybe finding another stereo to put it on?
I'd love to.
Zombie, me lad.
Captain Bone Marrow, Merry Christmas.
When you're as drunk as I am, every day is Christmas.
Always the pirate, huh?
I believe you've met Salty Sam.
I'm salty. Want a taste?
No.
And this be Randy Towerhausen's ex-wife, what's her name? You know, the stripper.
You bastards have a bathroom? I gotta drop the kids off at the pool.
She's a class act, that one.
Yeah. Say, would you like any punch?
No, laddie, I brought my own brew. It has a smooth, rich flavor, but packs a real kick. It's called rubbing alcohol. I think it's French.
Would you at least like a glass for your rubbing alcohol?
No, me friend. If I drink it from a glass, not enough of it gets on my beard.
Okay, well, carry on.
Aye, aye.
Could I get some help? The roast beast is about done.
I'm coming. Hey, Captain, would you mind answering the door for me?
I'm on it.
And no killing or stealing.
Sure. Ruin my Christmas, you brain-eating sissy. Taste me cutlass, you scurvy devil.
What did I say? Bone Marrow, that's Bob. Bob Wolfenbridget.
Bobby, me pal. Good to see you.
Could you take your cutlass away from my throat? I mean, so I can, come in?
Oh, certainly, my friend. Many heartfelt apologies if I was rude.
What is that smell?
You like it? You can suck some of it out of me beard if you like.
Hey, Bob, why don't you have some punch?
There's still time for me to escape.
Down, roast beast, down! Ow!
I'll get it.
You job thief. There's hope for you yet.
Excuse me, I've got to... Chainsaw murderer!
Hey, Chainsaw Pete, how have you been? Off the meds again, eh, Pete? Sit down, have some punch.
This Christmas thing, does it always have so much screaming? If so, I like it.
Dr. Von Martinez,
If only it had Tony Danza.
Tony did.
Don't go there.
Look, I've still got a lot of work to do before our Christmas dinner's complete, so I'd better put on some OTR to keep everyone entertained. Let's see. Where did I put that suspense episode? Ah, the closet.
This is just so great! Ah! I like this screamy Christmas thing! Ah!
What are you doing in the closet?
Oh, I've been in there for a week. Oh, my back is killing me. You really should visit your closet more often. The boogeyman doesn't live there anymore. Remember, we helped him move.
Doc, what are you doing in the... Wait a second, a week?
And don't think I haven't figured you out, you ingrate. Look at this. I found the brain juicer I gave you last Christmas.
Yeah, except that isn't a brain juicer. It's a cheesy Chelsea My First Vomit playset.
Hi there, I'm Cheesy Chelsea. Will you hold my hair?
Oh, so it is.
Why have you been in my closet for a week?
A number of unspecified time travel experiments that have done irreparable damage to the space-time continuum. But that's not the point. My back is killing me.
Here, let me help you up. You'd better sit down.
I told you I'd be here early and that you should look for me.
How was I supposed to know early meant a week ago?
You say you know me, but you don't know me at all.
Look, I've got stuff to do.
No, go on. Abandon me in my time of...
Ah! Okay, this time let's do it together.
Here it is. Fellow astronauts, while I try to...
Please! Make him stop trying to carve me up!
Hey, Chainsaw Pete, why don't you help me slice some of these holiday meats?
Right. Cut. That's nice. Oh, yeah.
While I try to get a handle on this party, listen to the classic suspense episode featuring one of my favorite creeps, Peter Lorre. Hubert's tiring of his wife Hermione, so he decides to rid himself of her. But as we know all too well, and Hubert is about to find out, death isn't really that final. Listen now to Peter Lorre in the suspense episode, Back for Christmas.
Suspense.
Presented by Roma Wines, made in California for enjoyment throughout the world.
Salute. Your health, senor.
Roma toasts the world. The wine for your table is Roma, made in California for enjoyment throughout the world.
This is the Man in Black, here for the Roma Wine Company of Fresno, California, to introduce this weekly half hour of Suspense. Tonight in Hollywood, Roma brings you as star Mr. Peter Lorre. The suspense play which stars Mr. Lorre and which is produced and directed by William Spear is called Back for Christmas. In this series, Roma brings you tales calculated to intrigue you, to stir your nerves, to offer you a precarious situation and then withhold the solution until the last possible moment. And so, with Back for Christmas and with the performance of Peter Lorre, we again hope to keep you in suspense.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride one was open. Yes, Maria?
What on earth are you doing down here in the cellar?
Oh, just doing a little digging.
And why, may I ask, have you chosen this day of all days to dig up the cellar floor?
Oh, I thought because the weather has been so damp, this would be a good time to plant that little devil's garden I told you about.
Devil's garden? Whatever nonsense is that?
Don't you remember that was my little joke about it? You see, I've managed to get hold of the spores of several unclassified wild orchids. In their wild state, they bloom under damp masses of leaf mold. The South American Indians call them devil flowers because they appear to bloom under the ground.
Well, I'm sure the South American Indians will be very interested if you succeed in growing these ridiculous flowers under the cellar floor. Whom else it will interest, I can't imagine. Oh, what's that terrible smell?
Oh, that's the leaf mold, chemically identical with the earth blanket they grow under in their wild state. And I want to get these started before we close the house.
Do you realize that we're sailing for America a week from today, and you've made no arrangements whatever? Unless you call digging a hole in the cellar making arrangements. I certainly don't. Devil's garden, indeed. Sometimes I think you're going soft in the head, Hubert.
Oh, I suppose it is inconsiderate of me. You see, and I've been wanting to try this experiment for a long time, but with all those lectures and seminars at the university, there never seemed to be enough time.
Well, there certainly isn't any time for it now. I suppose you've forgotten I made an appointment for you at the barber's this afternoon.
Oh, must I shave my beard off, Hermione?
I thought we'd been through all that. Of course you must. They don't wear beards in America. It's bad enough you're speaking with that accent. They'll probably think we're Germans as it is.
Oh, I should think it would be quite easy just to explain that I'm Swiss.
Now, Hubert, don't be argumentative. Go and get your jacket on and do as I tell you.
Yes, Hermione.
And don't forget to take your umbrella. It looks like rain.
Yes, Hermione.
And don't look so put upon, Hubert. Someone has to plan things in this house. You never even get to the university in time for your lectures, much less make arrangements for a trip to America.
I know, but what about my specimens?
There'll be plenty of time to plant your precious devil's garden when we get home from America. We're not going to be gone forever, you know. We'll be back here for Christmas.
Yes, of course. Back for Christmas. I'd forgotten.
We'll try to remember it. And if you can't do that, just do as I tell you. I've been making the plans in this house for 20 years. And if there's any digging to be done, I'll manage that as well. You understand, Hubert?
Yes, Hermione.
Good. Now, you have just 20 minutes to clean up this mess down here and keep your appointment at the barber's. And when you're finished there, I want you to come straight home.
All right. I wanted to stop at Miss Markham's and pick up some books I ordered.
Well, all right. But don't loiter there the whole afternoon mulling over those old books the way you usually do. Now, hurry and clear up this rubbish. Get rid of that smelly stuff. And no more digging, mind you.
No more digging. I'll show her. I'll have my devil's garden, and if I... No more digging, eh? No more digging. Oh, 15 men on a deathman's chest. Yoo-hoo, and a bottle of rum. Good evening, Miss Markham.
Why, it is Professor Schumacher, isn't it?
Do you like me better this way?
You look ever so much younger without the beard. 20 years at least.
20 years.
Oh, you'll be glad to know those books you ordered have finally arrived.
Oh, yes, the books.
Let me see. The phytotomy of phalloid gametophytes and coniferous shrubs of North America. Those are the ones you ordered, aren't they?
Yes, thank you. You're very kind, Miss Markham.
Why kind, Professor Schumacher?
Well, not many young ladies in bookshops would go out of their way to look up rare books for an old professor of botany.
Why, you're not old, Professor Schumacher. Really, you look...
What do I look like?
And besides, I adore botany. It's my particular hobby.
Oh, really? You've never told me that before, Miss Markham.
Well, I was afraid to. You looked so imposing with the beard and all.
Miss Markham, forgive me if this sounds foolish, but since talking with you today, I feel that shaving off my beard is the most important thing I've done for 20 years.
Oh, it is? I'm sure it is.
For 20
I'm so sorry that I've been so distant with you all this time. Oh, there were times when I almost spoke up. Times when you came in here tired after a day with your students at the university. You seemed so alone. The way I'm alone in the world.
Alone?
I'd like to have asked you to stay a while and talk with me, but some way or other, I always wound up giving you your change and letting you go on your way.
Say you're alone in the world?
Since my father died.
Oh, Miss Markham, did you never think of marrying?
My father was a very remarkable man. I never found anyone who seemed to measure up to what he led me to expect of men.
Miss Markham.
Oh, it's been so long since anyone called me by my first name. I'd like you to, if you want to. It's Marion.
Marion. Oh, how nice.
And yours?
Well, Hubertus. but in English, Hubert sounds better, huh?
How long have you been alone, Hubert?
Alone?
I knew you were a widower, of course. The first time I saw you.
A widower?
I can always tell. There's a certain sadness in a man's eyes. A sweet sadness, I think, when he's been married and then
A
lost...
widower. I never thought of it in quite that way.
Oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have been talking like this, I suppose, but I've often wondered what she must have been like. Your wife, I mean.
Hermione? Not an easy woman to forget. Very strong. Always managing things. The house, my wardrobe, my friends. Even when we dined at a restaurant, she even then ordered my food. She was always managing things. Her whole life. Managed herself to death.
Poor woman. She must have loved you very much. But she needn't have put herself out so. It's plain to see you don't need things managed for you.
No.
You need companionship, I think. Someone sympathetic with your work. But the last thing on earth you need is a manager.
How well you put it. The last thing on earth.
Operator, are you there? I'm still waiting on that call to Salisbury. Well, put them on quickly. Hello. Is this Paul Holt & Sons? It's Mrs. Hubert Schumacher. Did you receive my letter? Good. Now remember, we'll be back for Christmas and I want the job done without fail. What's that? No, I'm sure he doesn't suspect anything. Send it to me in New York as I instructed you, addressed in my name, of course. Yes. I've already put them in the mail. You'll get them tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, here you are, Hubert. Where have you been?
Oh, backstairs. I dismissed the servants.
Dismissed the servants?
Mm-hmm.
But I've asked some friends of mine into a farewell luncheon. Go and tell them it's a mistake.
Well, I'm afraid it's too late now. They've packed and gone.
You have messed things up properly. How many times have I told you to leave things to me? I make the plans around here.
Yes, Hermione.
You have to do better than this when I plan the trip home, or we'll never in the world be back for Christmas.
Back for Christmas. Back for Christmas. Must you keep saying that?
Why not? We are coming back for Christmas, aren't we?
Well, supposing I were offered a professorship in one of those wealthy American universities.
Nonsense. Americans care nothing for botany.
Well, Luther Burbank was an American, wasn't
That's different. What have you ever done except muck around in the dirt with a lot of roots and tubers?
Well, they asked me to lecture, didn't they?
All right. Now, there's no use getting yourself in a state about this, Hubert. No doubt this extra money will come in very handy when we arrive back
for Christmas. I know.
Precisely. No good to make a joke of it. Heaven knows where you'd be today if I hadn't got a sense of time.
Yes, Hermione.
And as you've been so foolish as to dismiss the servants, you may empty the ashtrays and straighten up this room while we're waiting for the guests to arrive.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going in to have my bath. Call me when they get here.
Marion? It's Hubert. No, darling, no, nothing is wrong. Oh, my plans are the same, unless you have changed. No? Oh, we'll meet in New York then and be married there. Huh? Oh, I'll explain to you why later. You just have to trust me. Yes. Yes, madame.
Hubert?
I'm so sorry I can't talk any longer. Yes, I'll meet you in New York without fail. Auf Wiedersehen, mein Liebchen.
Hubert, were you talking on the phone just now?
Yes, Hermione.
Whoever was it?
Oh, Freddie Sinclair.
But didn't I hear you say something about meeting somebody in New York?
Why, yes. Freddie said he might possibly get over there before we even leave. And I said, of course, we'd meet him there if he decided to go.
That seems very peculiar. But then all of your friends are peculiar.
Yes, Hermione.
And just look at your jacket. Have you been digging in that cellar again?
Yes, Hermione.
Well, there's no need for it. You can't possibly get that Devil's Garden thing finished before we sail for America. Go and change your clothes before the guests arrive. Oh, never mind. I see somebody coming up the walk now. Go and let them in.
Yes.
Hubert,
Yes?
look out the window. There's Professor and Mrs. Goodenough, but who's that with them?
Well, who...
Precisely. Freddie Sinclair. Peculiar you should have been talking to him on the phone not 3 minutes ago, and now here he is.
Yes, isn't it? But then, as you say, Hermione, all of my friends are peculiar.
Not half so peculiar as you. Digging in the cellar the very day we leave for America. Just look at yourself. And now that I think of it...
Yes?
Oh, never mind. Go and let them in.
Oh, you were going to ask me something, Hermione, about the hole I'm digging in a cellar.
Good heavens, stop rolling your eyes about that way. One would think you were digging a grave down there instead of a storage bin.
Yes, Hermione.
What's that?
I said yes, Hermione.
Father, open the door and please stop saying yes, Hermione.
I think, my dear, I have said it for the last time. Back for Christmas. Hermione was so positive we would be back for Christmas. That last afternoon, pouring tea out for a few friends who had come in to say her last-minute farewells, she kept reiterating it.
Now, mind you, Hermione, don't let those Americans lure your husband with one of their fat university jobs. We absolutely must have you with us for Christmas.
He shall be back, I promise you.
Well, it's not absolutely certain, of course.
Hubert, now what do you mean it's not certain? Of course it's certain.
After all, Hubert, old boy, you've contracted to lecture for only 3 months.
Oh, that's quite right, but then, of course, anything may happen.
Hubert adores being unpredictable. Now, what other man would decide the very day, mind you, before leaving for America, to dig a great hole in the floor of the cellar?
In the cellar?
Yes. He's going to put some unclassified wild orchids down there. A devil's garden, if you please. It sounds so mysterious. That's Hubert, though. It's really quite simple, however, once you find out what he's up to. Now, take that telephone call he put through to you a few minutes ago, Freddy.
To me?
Of course. Now, Hubert wanted to surprise me about your plan to meet us in New York next month. Wasn't that why he called? To ask you not to mention it?
My dear Hermione, Hubert couldn't possibly have telephoned me within the past hour. I've been walking in the park since 3.
He didn't telephone you?
Well, how could he? As for my going to America...
No. Come, Freddie, come. You may as well confess. Hermione has just found me out again.
But, Hubert, old chap, I really
You
don't...
see what a poor liar Hubert makes. He's red as a beetroot.
Aren't you ashamed of yourself, Professor? Stringing poor Hermione along like that. And as for you, Freddie, I'm furious you said nothing to us about going to America.
But look here, old girl. I've been trying to tell everyone here that I'm...
Stuff and nonsense. The game's gone on long enough. Besides, we must start getting ready. Now, it was marvelous of all of you to come in to say goodbye. And don't worry about Hubert's little jokes. I will bring him back for Christmas. You may rely on it.
They all believed her. For years, she had been promising me for dinner parties, garden parties, committees, and the promises had always been kept. This time, they would not be. I had seen to that. The servants were gone for good. The farewells all said. I had timed to the minute how long it would take to fill in a hole in a cellar. My devil's garden. Upstairs in a bedroom, I undressed and put on my old bathrobe, and then I opened the door into Hermione's room. Hermione, have you a moment to spare?
Of course, dear. I'm just finished.
Oh, then, will you come in here for a moment, please? There's something rather extraordinary here.
Oh, good heavens, Hubert. What are you lounging about in that filthy old bathrobe for? I told you to put it into the furnace.
Oh, I'll do it. I'll do it today. Yes, really, I will. I promise.
Well, high time. Now, what is it you want to show me?
Oh, here, in the bathroom. Just look, who in the world do you suppose dropped a gold chain down the bathtub drain?
Nobody has, of course. Nobody wears such a thing.
Then what is it doing in here?
I don't see anything.
Well, look. I'll hold this flashlight here for you. If you lean right over, you can see it shining. It's deep down.
Oh, such a lot of nonsense. Just as well. Well, I don't see it, Hubert.
Go on looking, Hermione, in just a moment.
Hubert, I absolutely refuse to... Hubert, what are you doing? Take your hands off my neck.
I will, Hermione. Just as soon as I've finished the arrangements for my trip to America.
What are you talking about?
You thought you were the only one who could plan things, didn't you? Didn't you, Hermione, huh?
Oh.
Well, I've been making some plans of my own this past week. In exactly 2 minutes and 16 seconds, you'll be dead. You see? You see, I planned it very accurately.
You'll never get away with it.
Oh, I thought you would say that, Hermione, but I will get away with it. You won't mind the smell of the leaf mold down in the cellar when I take you down there today? Yes, that is where you are going, Hermione.
Oh.
Right into my devil's garden that annoyed you so much.
My friends all expect me back for Christmas.
They do.
If they don't hear from me, they'll start asking questions.
No, they won't. Because you'll write them letters, Hermione, on a typewriter, as you always do. They'll be signed H, in that neat, correcting way you always sign your notes to your friends.
Here, let me up now.
No!
It won't work, Hubert. You were never any good at planning.
Oh, but I have changed. I've learned from watching you all these years.
The lecture people in America. They'll expect you to be traveling with your wife.
I will be traveling with my wife, but not my present wife, Hermione.
Hubert! It won't work, I tell you. That pit you dug in the cellar...
Oh, it will work. It'll serve its purpose well.
Hubert!
No, I'm sorry, dear. This thing has to be done exactly as planned. You have just 5 seconds to say your prayers.
Hubert, you must listen. The cellar, it... Don't do it, Hubert!
Yes, Hermione! Oh, Stuart?
Yes, sir?
Oh, my wife, she's indisposed. She'll be taking her meals in our stateroom.
For the old voyage, sir?
Yes, for the whole voyage.
I trust your wife is feeling better this morning, Professor Schumacher.
A little. Not yet well enough to leave her cabin.
Oh, what a shame.
Oh, Professor Schumacher.
Yes?
Here's a copy of the radiogram you sent for your wife last evening.
Oh, thank you. I'll just check it over. Oh, but look here.
What? What's the matter? Did the typist make a mistake?
No. It's nothing important. She can correct it later. For a moment, I had a feeling that Hermione had been leaning over my shoulder again, correcting what I had written as she always did. I had written a radiogram to Professor Goodenough and his wife. Haven't been out of my cabin the whole beastly trip, Hubert. Well, now Doubt will be back for Christmas. But the operator had left out the W, and it read, No Doubt will be back for Christmas. Exactly what Hermione would have written. Well, the rest of the trip was uneventful. Marion and I met in New York just as we had planned. Just as we had planned. Professor and Mrs. Schumacher, we have reservations, I believe.
Oh, yes. We've been expecting you, sir. Boy, take Professor and Mrs. Schumacher's luggage up to their suite. You know, Mrs. Schumacher, you're quite a surprise.
Oh?
Your letter reserving the rooms was so thorough, I was expecting an older, more forbidding sort of person, frankly, ma'am.
No. As a matter of fact, we're just married, but my letter reserving the room.
Oh, I wrote the letter, my dear, and I signed it Mrs. Hubert Schumacher. Just a joke.
What a cunning old fox you are, Hubert.
Now that I think of it,
I almost forgot. There's a letter for you, Mrs. Schumacher.
That's peculiar. I wonder who on
Oh,
earth...
well, we'll soon find out in good time. Come along, darling. Oh, we are keeping the boy waiting. Come. Nothing like a cold, brisk shower to put a man to rights.
Hubert, this letter.
Oh, yes, the letter. Oh, dry my hair, will you, darling? Please.
It seems to be a bill of some sort from a building contractor in Salisbury.
Oh, really?
Oh, bother, dry your own hair.
Thank you, darling. Let's see this bill, or whatever it is.
It's very puzzling. Hubert, you were a widower, weren't you? I mean, Hermione isn't still alive.
Good heavens, no. Well, let me read that. Dear Madame, this is to acknowledge your order together with the keys to your house in Launceston Place. Our man had no difficulty in finding the place where your husband had begun the excavation in the cellar, but apparently he changed his mind at the last moment and filled it in again.
What is it, Hubert?
Our man will begin digging tomorrow, and the job will be completed in ample time for your surprise Christmas present to your husband. We are happy to be conspirators with you in this thoughtful gesture and hope that Professor Schumacher will be pleased at the results of our work on his Devil's Garden. Very truly yours, all old sons, contractors.
What does it mean, Hubert?
Means that Hermione was right. I will be back for Christmas. I will be back for Christmas. I will back for Christmas. Back for Christmas. Yes, Hermione.
And so closes Back for Christmas, starring Mr. Peter Lorre. Tonight's tale of suspense.
Coming! Oh, it's you! It's him.
Ech, zombie. Tui!
Excuse me, sirs, but...
You're here to see Dr. Despicable. Outside, you cannibal corpse, you.
Yes! Move before we call Homeland Security! What?
It's okay, zombie. I invited them.
Doc, what are you doing?
I'm performing a little routine back surgery on myself. Lobo, will you hold that mirror still?
You're bleeding all over my sofa.
A little washout. Trust me, I tested the procedure on Wolfbridge, and his blood came right out with a little cold seltzer.
Yeah. I want my spleen back, you organ thief.
Oh, you big baby. It's not like you were using it. Anyway, these are my vampire friends. Count Goldfarb, Cactus Corpse, and Count Ovaltine.
You meddling monster monkey! What? Why do you... Doc, why do they keep insulting me? We've been feeding off the living for thousands of years, savoring all that tasty blood. Then what happens? You and your kind come along acting all bitey and turning all those tasty humans into zombies.
It turns the blood all nasty and chunky. Such a waste.
Look, Doc, take care of these blood-sucking idiots, will you? You impetuous carcass.
Skudniak, Golem, Divuk.
Hi, zombie.
Taliesin, glad you could make it. Word of advice, there aren't too many people here who aren't monsters or mad scientists, so, watch yourself.
Okay.
And there I was, peeling off the last shred of wrapping paper. And it was a pair of socks.
Gasp! That's a horrible story. No wonder there is so much screaming on this Christmas you speak of.
Fellow astronauts, at a monster Christmas party like this one, it's commonplace to hear Christmas horror stories. Oddly enough, they all seem to end with someone getting socks for Christmas. Coming!
Zombie, my man.
Herb, how are things?
Cool, baby, cool. I brought my trumpet so I can do some free-form Christmas poetry.
Oh, really?
Hey, man, don't knock it. Just wait till I get a drum circle together.
Gotta get that, Herb.
It's cool, baby, it's cool. The man can mingle.
Zombie astronaut! Hey! You're the mental house ghost, aren't you?
Indeed. Call me Gerard.
Okay, Gerard. How do you find out about the party?
I know people. Well, I know people who used to be people. You know, I can be here in a professional capacity as well.
If you need any people busting...
Ah, zombie!
Excuse me, Gerard. Hey, Doc, how's the back?
Oh, good as new. While I was at it, I put a plexiglass wall in my stomach so you could see what happens to the eggnog after I drink it. Observe.
Ooh, very cool.
So, when do we exchange presents?
Soon. We're still waiting for a few guests.
Oh, if they cared about you, they'd have been here a week ago. Besides, I want to exchange gifts now. You'll love the gift I got you.
You got me a kazoo, didn't you?
You'll love the gift I got you, or I shall kill you.
Why did you get me a kazoo? I'm just not interested.
You will love the kazoo, and you will practice for hours every day while I beat you with reeds until you're the best kazoo player in the world, second only to me.
Doc.
One day, people will recognize my brilliance on the much-maligned instrument, the kazoo. People everywhere will clamor to their phones to order my CDs. No, they'll wait by their phones with their credit cards, waiting for a commercial for one of my CDs to appear on their televisions. Waiting for a commercial for one of my CDs. Waiting for a commercial for one of my CDs. Waiting for a commercial for one of my CDs.
My giant human killing machine is almost finished.
What brilliant work.
Well, I couldn't have done it without my Dr. Despicable's greatest kazoo hits ever in the world 3 CD set.
Ooh, is that Dr. Despicable's greatest kazoo hits ever in the world 3 CD set playing right now?
Well, of course.
Well, turn it up, dude.
K-Doc Records presents Dr. Despicable's greatest kazoo hits ever in the world 3 CD set. Rock out to hits like So What If I Took Your Spleen? Eat My Death Ray. An unspecified number of time travel experiments that have irreparably damaged the space-time continuum. And many, many more. Order now and get this free CD of Dr. Despicable's greatest gut-melting metal ballads on kazoo. How much would you pay for all this? $20? $40? $60? Order now and get the Dr. Despicable's greatest kazoo hits ever in the world 3 CD set and the Dr. Despicable's greatest gut-melting metal ballads on kazoo for just $10,000. That's right, and you'll pay $10,000 or Dr. Despicable will torture you with electricity and expired dairy products.
Rock on, Dr. Despicable. We shall worship you and gladly follow you after you take over the world.
Order now.
To order Dr. Despicable's greatest kazoo hits ever in the world 3 CD set with your free copy of the Dr. Despicable's greatest gut-melting metal ballads on kazoo CD for $10,000, send a check or money order to Dr. Despicable to the lair Dr. Despicable or call 1-800-KAZOO-GOD. That's 1-800-KAZOOGOD.
Oh, the fame. Oh, the money. Oh, the kazoos. But mostly, oh, the money. Today, the kazoo. Tomorrow, the harmonica.
As I opened the lid of the box, carefully scooping out the styrofoam peanuts, to my abject horror, I discovered a pair of socks. True story. I couldn't make that up.
Zombie!
Yes?
Zombie!
Yes, Wilhelm, what?
Zombie! Zombie!
Good grief, man, spit it out! Oh, not literally!
Oh, I'll just put that back in my mouth. Oh, there it is.
What did you want?
This fruitcake thing you've invented is marvelous. It tastes like dried bugs and pieces of pencil eraser in a cake.
I actually didn't...
A cake made of old T-shirts.
I didn't invent the...
It's a taste that really makes you think.
I didn't invent that.
Makes me think about Tony Danza. I wonder if Who's the Boss is on.
Oh, good grief.
And as I surgically opened the insidiously glittery box and carefully peeled away the brightly colored tissue paper, I discovered... Yes! Re-gifted underpants. Also socks.
No, you didn't.
First
No,
and
you
Khalil Gibran.
didn't.
I think it's time to treat everyone to more Christmas audio.
Booty.
All right then, more Christmas booty.
No, look. I took my pants off.
My eyes!
Thank goodness for hysterical blindness.
Oh, Captain Bone Marrow. Captain Bone Marrow, no more rubbing alcohol for you.
Oh, but zombie.
I may never have another Christmas party again. Anyway, This is a story of a wee little boy named Jonathan Thomas who hops in bed on Christmas Eve, planning on sleeping next to his sawdust-stuffed koala bear pal Gus until Christmas morning. When two strangers from the moon slip down a moonbeam and into Jonathan's room, Gus suddenly comes alive and chases the two aliens back up the moonbeam. Jonathan chases the lot of them and soon discovers the people of the moon are idiots. And in keeping with the Christmassy moon theme, or the moony Christmas theme, you'll also hear a couple of Christmassy moony songs. Listen now to 1938's Christmas on the Moon.
The story of Jonathan Thomas and his Christmas on the Moon. This is the story of a wee little boy who has just turned 6. And his name is Jonathan Thomas. And what happened to him is not just fiddlesticks. For right here's where we make the promise. It could have happened to you if you were not you, but instead were Jonathan Thomas, who said his prayers every night upstairs and jumped into bed clear up to his head and snuggled and juggled and ruggled and juggled because Christmas was not very far off and was as good as he could, as all other boys would, if Christmas were coming so soon. For if he was bad and not merry and glad, his dad would not like such a lad, and be sad, and even a bit mad, and not read fairy tales in his room, where the moon disgustingly listened to his weepings and wails. But here is the story, and it's true, don't you worry, 'cause remember, I made you the promise. It's as true blue, and could have happened to you, if it hadn't happened to Jonathan Thomas. You see, the big grandfather clock in the hall had just struck 8, and Jonathan Thomas had had his bath and said his prayers and kissed Mummy and Nan and then taken the hand of his dad, and up the stairs they went. 1, 2, button your shoe, 3, 4, shut the door, until they were to where you say 11, 12, the kitchen shelf, and then down the hall and in the room and whisk into bed.
Now, pull the covers up so you won't catch the sneezels.
Daddy.
What is it?
Mommy said if I was to brush my teeth 4 times, you would just beat the story.
Well, now, and did you brush your teeth that many times?
Uh-huh.
Then what shall the story be about?
About Jonathan Thomas and Gus.
Jonathan Thomas and Gus?
Uh-huh.
Well, once upon a time, there was a little boy.
Wait, Daddy. Gus has got to hear, too. He can't if he's under the covers.
Oh, well then, by all means, we must haul him out from under the covers. But Gus would be as angry if he didn't hear the story. And he'd probably cry until his sawdust got wet. There now. Now, let's sit him up on the pillow, and we'll twist one ear a little further forward, so he'll have no difficulty in hearing. Now then, are we ready?
Uh-huh.
Well, once upon a time, there was a wee little boy who had just turned 6, and his name was Jonathan Thomas. And he had a beautiful stuffed teddy bear named Gus. And one night, when Jonathan Thomas went to bed away upstairs, after he'd brushed his teeth, and when he was tucked in with Gus by his side, and when he was asleep, a long, slender moonbeam made of pure silver came through the window, like that. And down the moonbeam came sliding 2 of the queerest creatures you ever did see, like that. And there they were, laughing and chuckling and giggling and poking their fingers at Jonathan Thomas, who was sound asleep as he could ever be. But right away, quick as 46 tigers, Gus opened his left eye, and then his right eye, and he saw the creatures, and then he opened his mouth, and went. And he jumped from the bed, right after those creatures, and those creatures ran up the moonbeam, and Gus ran after them, barking like everything, or whooping, or whatever koala bears do. And all this noise woke up Jonathan Thomas, and he saw Gus running up the moonbeam, and he jumped right out of bed and right up the moonbeam after Gus, shouting as loud as ever he could.
Gus, come back, Gus. Ooh, what a very strange place. Maybe I'd better knock on this door. Oh, hello.
Oh, well, goodness gracious, my land and Jiminy Crickets. Whatever do you mean by knocking on my door when the sign plainly says absolutely no knocking until after 9 o'clock daylight saving moon time? Where are you? I mean, who are you? I don't see your name written on you anywhere. Well, speak up. Or has the cat got your tongue? If he has, we'll write him a letter and tell him to bring it back straight away quicker than you could say Jack Robinson. Isn't that silly of me? If the cat really got your tongue, you couldn't say Jack Robinson, could you?
My name is Jonathan Thomas.
Oh, what a silly name. Thomerson Jonas. Oh, then, never mind. We can't all have beautiful names like Scramboozle or Flimfuddle, can we? I had a grandfather once.
Have you seen Gus?
Have I seen... Don't change the subject. Who's Gus?
He's my teddy bear, and he ran away.
Well, then why don't you go there and look for him instead of pestering me? Don't stand there in the doorway. Either come in or stay out. Yes, you'll have to do one or the other, you know. You can't do both at the same time. It's against the law.
If you please, sir, I'll come in.
What a silly thing to say, young man. It's not if I please, but if you please. Yeah. Have you had your breakfast?
Oh, no, sir.
Well, then who did have it if you didn't?
No one, I don't think.
You mean no one you do think. For if no one did have it instead of you, you'd know it. And if I were you, I shouldn't let no one have it again. Mr. No One's getting entirely too many breakfasts lately. Yep. Will you have breakfast with me?
Oh, I should like that very much if you don't mind.
Well, of course, I don't mind, except for old King Cole. Yeah, and I have to mind him or he'll throw me in jail for 1 billion years. And then, what would you like for breakfast?
Oh, I'd like just anything.
Well, I haven't got any of that. You shouldn't go around wanting things that people haven't got. Yep. But I can give you oatmeal porridge and cream and some squaffles and baconate.
Oh, thank you very much. That sounds the bestest of anything.
Well, of course it does. Yep. I don't think I like anything very well myself much, unless it's cooked just right. Well, now, come along. It'll be too late for breakfast. You'll have to eat lunch instead. That would be...
Oh, I'm as full as 2 times 2. That was the bestest breakfast I ever ate. Oh, but I wish Gus was here. Do you think we could find him?
Well, I suppose we can. If you know where he is.
But I don't know.
Well, then how on the moon do you expect to find him if you don't know where he is? Of course, it might be that the squibboblins have him.
Who?
Only owls say, who? Haven't you ever heard of the squibboblins? They're always catching something. A long time ago, they caught little Bo Peep's teeth. And they never brought him back. And only last Tuesday, I had a cold. Oh, it was a beautiful cold. And they caught that. And I haven't seen it since. They're a most dreadful people.
Are they? Oh, you think they caught Gus?
Well, I shouldn't be at all surprised. But I sometimes am.
Oh, I hope not. Because next to my mommy and dad, I love Gus the bestest.
Yeah. Do you hear anything?
Of course I do. There's somebody at the door.
Oh, my goodness, I thought so. Now I'll have to say come in, for I can't say stay out, for whoever it is already out. So I'll have to say come in.
Well, can't you just say nothing at all?
I don't know. I've never tried. What does it mean? Oh, dear. I'll just have to say come in. Yes, I will. Come in! Oh, so it's you, is it?
Yep.
Well, what do you wish? And you can't have more than 3 wishes.
If you please, sir, Mr. Man in the Moon, I have brought great news.
Well, let me see it.
I have come to tell you that you had better hide. because the wretched squibubbles are coming. And now I have to go and tell everybody else. Goodbye.
Oh, my goodness, the squeak bubbles are coming. Oh, this is terrible. Come quickly, Jonathan Thomas. We must hide ever so fast or they'll catch us.
Where will we hide?
Well, right here, of course. Where do you suppose? If the squeak bubbles come into this room, just shut your eyes and don't make a sound.
Don't we have to hide somewhere?
No, because somewhere is too far to go and we haven't time. Just shut your eyes.
Can't they see us if we shut our eyes?
Of course they can. Who ever heard of such a thing? You can't see them, can you, with your eyes shut?
No.
Well, then how can they see us if we can't see them? I'd like to know... Uh-oh. My goodness. Here they come. Now, don't forget, shut your eyes and don't make a sound.
All right. I won't.
Oh. One more thing. If they should ask if anyone's here, tell them no. Shut your eyes now, quick.
Can you see anyone in here, General? Oh, I can't see a soul. They must all be hiding. You'd better ask and see. Yes, sir. Is anyone in here?
No. We haven't seen him all day.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
You're extremely welcome.
There's no one here, General. You might as well leave. Oh, goodbye.
Yeah, goodbye. Oh, my goodness. That was a narrow escape. So narrow I could hardly squeeze through it. Well, you can open your eyes now, Jonathan Thomas.
Didn't they see us?
Of course not. How could they? You had your eyes shut all the time, didn't you? Oh, my goodness. There's more of it. Come in.
Quick, away. The squibubbles have kidnapped Santa Claus.
Kidnapped Santa Claus?
And we must watch to rescue him right away. Quick, away.
Oh, my goodness. Hurry, Jonathan Thomas. We must rush to the rescue. Santa Claus has been kidnapped. Oh, and there won't be any Christmas unless we rescue him. Come on, Jonathan Thomas. We must hurry like everything, only faster.
Well, it isn't very long until Christmas, and Santa Claus has been kidnapped. Will Jonathan Thomas and the Man in the Moon be able to find him in time? And what about Gus? Where is he? Don't forget to listen to the next adventure of Jonathan Thomas.
This is Taliesin TTLG invading the frequency of fear and... Well, dang it all, I can't be bothered doing the top three, or worst three, or any sort of three, to be honest. Instead, I want to take a brief look at the development of Christian iconography in the vampire genre. In other words, the use of the cross. The cross, another Christian iconography, has been a favoured tool used by vampire hunters going back to the roots of the modern genre. Carmilla hated the sound of hymn song, as it says in the book. "You pierced my ears," said Carmilla, almost angrily, and stopping her ears with her tiny fingers. "Besides, how can you tell that your religion and mine are the same? Your forms wound me, and I hate funerals." In the same way, Van Helsing used holy items in his battle with the undead in Bram Stoker's Dracula. Not surprising really, as these were both books written by Irish authors, and Ireland has a strong Christian heritage, and Carmilla's words indicate almost an anti-Christian stance. In the movies, this use of holy items naturally followed. The film classed as the oldest vampire movie is Le Manoir du Diable by Georges Méliès, although the vampire seems more a devil. In this 2-minute film, a cavalier arrives holding a cross and causes the devil to throw up his arms and disappear in a cloud of smoke. Eventually, filmmakers began to question why vampires would retreat from the cross. After all, the vampire might be of another religion, or even an atheist. One movie that asked this in a comic way was Polanski's The Fearless Vampire Killers. When Magda the maid holds up a cross to Jewish vampire Chagall, she is met by the line, "Oy vey, have you got the wrong vampire?" This joke was switched around in the later Love at First Bite, when a Jewish Van Helsing holds up a Star of David to no good effect. The spectacular Bollywood movie Band Darwaza replaced the cross with a sacred Om sign, whilst the Islamic Indonesian film Satan's Slave used the power of prayer. and even Hammer respected the concept that, in other cultures, other iconography might be used, with Peter Cushing's Van Helsing making reference to the use of Buddha statues in Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires. That Hammer recognised this was perhaps unusual, as it was they, more than any other studio, who introduced the concept that any old 2 bits of wood could be crossed and made into an effective vampire weapon. Hammer went as far, in Bride of Dracula, to have the vampire die in the shadow of a windmill sail, moved to right angles by Cushing once again. Why this should work is beyond me. The sci-fi novel Blindside by Peter Watts brings a reasoning to simply making right angles work by suggesting that a genetic glitch in the vampire sensory wiring causes grand mal seizure if a right angle appears in the field of vision, taking the concept out of religion and embedding a scientific reasoning into the concept. That still wouldn't explain how being stood in the shadow of a windmill sails at night would work. Perhaps the answer to that lies within the concept of faith. Van Helsing has faith that it will work, and thus it does. The movies and literature took this idea forward again, with various films and books, suggesting that faith in the icon was necessary for it to work. More often or not, this was based upon the wielder's faith. In 1985 flick, Fright Night, this is explicit, and in books such as Blood Red by James A. Moore, the vampire housing agents travel through all the town's religious institutions, destroying the holy men's faith by introducing doubt through sins of the flesh. Occasionally, it was the vampire's faith that was important. In Anne Rice's Vampire Chronicles, certain vampires believed themselves cursed, and thus couldn't enter holy ground, and in Blood God by Paul Stewart Kent, only vampires brought up as Christians were affected by the presence of a cross. Of course, the vampire often represents society, and Western society is becoming more and more secular. Often we have vampires who are not affected by any religious icons. In Vampires in Havana, this is shown as a not too subtle anti-religious moment, as one would expect from an animated film produced in communist Cuba. Now, I haven't touched upon the Chinese Kaionsi, or hopping vampire yet. These creatures have their own set of rules, vastly different to those of the Western vampire, and centered upon traditional Chinese folklore and Taoist faith. Yet one Hong Kong movie, Exorcist Master, showed the encroachment of the Catholic Church into China, and had the interesting situation where Christianity and Taoism had to not only coexist, but actively cooperate in order that the vampire might be defeated. So, as you walk down a dark, deserted pathway, and the vampire rises from the mist before you, crossing 2 bits of wood might just work. Better yet, if you have faith in those 2 bits of wood. However, if you are unlucky, the vampire will be from a non-Christian faith, or, if you are really unlucky, it might just be an atheist. To get information on these, and many more vampire movies and books, visit Taliesin Meets the Vampires at taliesinTTLG.blogspot.com. Alternatively, find a link in the links for the Zombie Astronaut.
Okay, everybody, time to open presents!
Yay!
Okay, let's see. Wait, what's that? I think somebody's trying to climb down the chimney.
Start a fire!
Well, I could start a fire.
That's awful. What if it's someone you know?
I think the question is, what if it's somebody that we like?
Well, I think you both have a point. Aw, don't be sad. Maybe we can set them on fire later. I think almost everybody's here. I think they know to use the door for that matter. Of course, these are my friends we're talking about.
Worst chimney dismount ever.
Santa?
Oh, my back.
Care for some experimental surgery?
Wow, Santa. Thought you'd stop visiting us on Christmas Eve because of the, Eggleston incident.
Oh my God, my uvula! Oh! Yes, well, as it turns out, you never sent in a change of address form, so I was unaware you were here until right now.
You know, you're just in time. We were getting ready to open presents.
I do have Christmas gifts for you all.
Yay!
As long as no one tries to eat or kill me, I suppose it's okay.
Oh, very well. But it won't feel like Christmas.
Oh my! It's a jumbo self-basting rotisserie oven! By Ralphco, of course!
Oh, look! I got a canister of the zombie astronauts powdered Christmas punch.
New chainsaw! Thanks! You'll love it. It goes through moon men like through a goose. Now, let's see what I got. Oh, my word! An iron glove. Why, zombie? Thank you, my boy.
Well, I thought it would help you rule the world with an iron fist once you took over the world.
Oh, now I just want to run out and oppress someone.
I seem to have gotten a death threat.
Watch your back, Bob, me lad.
Oh, I got socks. Seriously, socks?
Oh, baby. Dr. Despicable's greatest kazoo hits ever in the world on vinyl. I can't wait to spin these tracks on the air.
Wow, somebody got me several counts of vampire off. This stuff is great for field work.
Oy vey, I never smelled such an awful. What have you been eating?
Let's see. More socks? What gives?
A case of rubbing alcohol. Au grand.
Oh, great.
Excellent. A UK power adapter for my death ray. Watch out, Newcastle upon Tyne.
I got a bear trap.
Trap good.
All right, while we open...
You bastard. I hate you.
Wait. Ex-Miss Towerhausen.
You wait till I call my lawyer.
Blast it all. What is that harpy's name, anyway?
What the heck is going on?
Oh, she's mad because I'm making out with this lovely looker I just met at your party.
Hi there. I'm Susie Selfie. Will you hold my hair?
Oh, Bone Marrow, have you been hitting the rubbing alcohol again?
Not at this very moment, right now, no.
Anyway, while we continue opening presents, I have a gift for you too, fellow astronauts. We at the Frequency of Fear are starting our own audio drama series, The Zombie Astronauts Flights of Fright. They'll debut here on the Frequency of Fear, then appear on their own website. When they have their own website. For our very first Flights of Fright episode, we have a creepy Christmas tale from Andrew M. Boylan, who you know better as Taliesin. Here's the Flights of Fright episode, Meaning of Christmas. Meaning of Christmas by Andrew M. Boylan.
'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. Silas Breens was sleeping the sleep of the just and small. Comfortable breaths escaped his slightly parted lips as his head lay gently on the soft pillow. The peace of his sleep was ironic indeed, for Silas Breens was anything but just. Many might suggest that branding an 11-year-old boy as unjust was to be distinctly unfair, perhaps too presumptuous of a life that would be lived without remorse. And yet Silas Breens truly deserves such a label. Looking down upon him, one might be forgiven for believing such a statement to be incorrect. He seemed cherubic. A soft downy curls of hair floated across his brow and offered him the aspect of an angel. And yet the contents of his dreams, which twisted those slightly parted lips into a delightful half smile, were violent of nature. The violence I speak of saw him as perpetrator, and the violence was committed against fellow children. So the dreams mirrored perfectly life. Silas Breens was no rogue, he was no lovable scamp, no indeed. Silas Breens was a bully, a tormentor, and a thief. This very Christmas Eve, having left Billy Bennett tearful in a field as blood flooded from his nose whilst a purple bruise bloomed around his eye, Silas slept peacefully, tiredness overcoming anticipation. For Silas, the anticipation was twofold. He was filled with expectation in regards to the presents his parents had bought him, uncaring of the credit card debt his mother had accumulated as she indulged her precious ones at every whim. But anticipation also filled his black little heart when he thought of the presents other children would receive and he would acquire. Presents he would steal from his peers, poor victims who might only get a day or two, a week at the most, of joy from their gifts, before Silas would tear their happiness asunder with his greedy hands. For now, however, Silas slept, and his sleep was undisturbed by the activity on the roof, activity hidden from his mortal perceptions by the nature of the magic. The sleigh had landed upon the rooftop, and seemed to stand perfectly flat upon the slanted tiles, which any student of physics would have explained was impossible. The sleigh, plus its train of reindeers, were far too long for the roof's length, and yet they fit upon it with ease. The weight of the contraption, plus the reindeers, and the passengers, and, of course, the sacks crammed with toys, was too much for the timbers of the roof to bear, and yet somehow the roof did not collapse. It was all to do with the magic, and some spells are powerful indeed. The first to disembark and stand upon the roof, sure-footed on the frost that had settled upon the slate, was the driver. Black boots with a polished gleam, and red suit with a dazzling white trim covered his portly frame. A thick white beard of exceptionally downy hair had become the foremost most distinguishing feature of his face, followed closely by his ruddy, bulbous nose. An aura of joyousness surrounded the man, if man he still was, for St. Nicholas had lived far beyond the span of his years, granted longevity that he might spread the cheer for which he was famed. His voice boomed with his deep, chesty, trademark laugh, though the magic that surrounded him ensured that none bar his companion and the patiently waiting reindeer heard him. Yet enough of him, for it is true to say that even those of you who do not believe, just like the sleeping Silas Breens, are well aware of the aspects and mannerisms of jolly old St. Nicholas. Of his companion, however, you may not be aware. He stepped down from the sleigh, a slight and withered creature, whose head just rose to the belly of St. Nicholas. He too wore red, but this was of a vivid scarlet, and no pure white was used as trim. From the sleeves were gnarled hands with long, slender fingers, tipped with cruel, sharp nails. His true nature was reflected in the facets of his face, grey, wrinkled skin, with nose like a hook and wide mouth with cruel, thin lips. His eyes, like tiny pieces of black coal, surveyed the roof. As they passed over St. Nicholas, he gave an inward chuckle, as he did whenever he spotted the red suit. The colour of his clothes, the colour of the tomtin. Once the saint had deigned to wear green, but then a soft drinks manufacturer, of no small fame, had dressed his image in red in order that they might advertise their wares. Slowly, around the world, mankind began to believe that the saint wore red, and, because it was expected, the saint began to wear such colours. The holy man did not like to. It was the colour of the tomtin, but he felt it was expected. Tomtin might have wondered why, given that no one saw the saint as he travelled the Christmas Eve, yet he knew that it was intimately connected with the magic that was weaved around the saint. The discomfort that the change in apparel had caused the saint gave the tomtin no small pleasure, as he genuinely enjoyed it when the far too jolly man suffered. Things had been different once upon a time. The tomtin had at once enjoyed travelling with the man. That had much to do with the tomtin spell, with which he had ensnared the saint. The time when tomtin had called the shots. Although there had been rules, there always were. The relationship born of the magical snare had been symbiotic. The tomtin could only take of those who were naughty and not those who were nice, but each Christmas they found enough children of sin to feed his belly for the following year. Then the old man had tricked him back. and somehow reversed the spell and sealed it with the slight bracelet upon the Tomtin's wrist and the dual glass bead that sat upon the bracelet. The saint had wrested back control, and the Tomtin was forced to serve him, forced to do good in penance for his sins, a situation that the Tomtin felt was most unfair. After all, he only did what it was in his nature to do. Worse than that was the gnawing, endless hunger. For the saint, whilst he fed the Tomtin of human food, never allowed the creature to feed upon that which truly satisfied. So it was, centuries on, that St. Nicholas will visit upon each child upon the earth, which, as any school teacher could tell you, was impossible, except, of course, they knew naught about the magic. Despite the fact that most no longer believed he would enter each child's home, he would place his hand upon the brow to ascertain if they were naughty or nice, and leave the nice a gift. In the morning the parents would puzzle at the gift. The tag must have fallen off at some point, and they never could remember who had given it. The gift, the forgotten giver's gift, was always one that, whilst its value may have been slight compared to the computers and robots and expensive toys, was always most valued by the child, as if, even unknown to themselves, it was what they truly wanted. The Tomtin craved for the old days, but the Tomtin was trapped, and his nasty coal eye spied upon the dual glass bead, and, as always, a shudder coursed his wiry frame. He hurried to reach the saint, who had strode purposefully towards the chimney, and was by his side as the venerable man placed his hand upon the brickwork. It was magic, of course, and not a surprise to the Tomtin, who had travelled this way before, when they appeared silently in the living room of Silas Breen's. More of a surprise came as the little creature stepped forward, and something caught his foot, causing him to trip. His arm shot forward to brace the fall. The bracelet struck the ground, and the glass bead shattered, invisible grains of glass embedding in his sickly grey flesh. The prickling pain, however, was nothing. He was free. Who was the first to be aware that the spell had been broken, the saint or the Tomtin? I cannot say. What is clear is the fact that the Tomtin reacted with greater speed. He leapt from the ground, his feet planted into the old saint's chest, his clawed hand gripping the shoulder, and his eyes reaching into the holy man's eyes as he recast his spell. What joy it was to be free, to know that he would be fed, and to know that he and the saint stood in the home of a sinner. He could smell the corruption in the air. Yet rules there were, the magic demanded it, and they made their way to the bedroom of Silas Breen's, and, as they approached, the magic of the Tomtin broke the spell of silence for Silas Breen's, but not his parents, causing the child to hear the approach and awake from his deceitfully cherubic sleep. Silas Breen's opened his eyes on hearing the footfalls approach. Confusion played through his mind, for there sounded like two sets of footfalls out in the darkened house, and that should have been the movement of his mother and father. Yet one, his primal brain could tell, was too heavy for father, and the other too light for mother, and for the first time in his life he felt nervous. Not afraid, not exactly, but definitely nervous. That nervousness grew as the door to his room opened, and, against the blackness, was a giant shape. But, as the Tomtin's spell cast light upon the situation, his nervousness became confusion again, as he spied Santa Claus. For Santa was only a story told to gullible children, that much Silas knew. Presents, he was aware, came from mother's credit card, and it had been many a year lost to his recollection since he had received a gift, the label missing, and his parents unable to remember who had given it.
Silas Breen's, I must test you.
For his part, Silas Breen's huddled into the corner of his bed, pressed his body twixt headboard and wall, and clutched his knees to his chest lest they shake.
If you are ready.
You want to know if I'm naughty or nice?
Not quite,
cackled the Tomtin, who had emerged from behind the bulky shape of the venerable saint. When the saint had taken control of the relationship, the test had been one of naughty or nice, and a gentle test it was as well. The child's actions meant much. Of that much was true. but it was the shape of the soul that provided the real test. St. Nicholas would lay a gentle, meaty hand upon the sleeping brow and feel the shape of the soul. Minor misdemeanours were forgotten if the soul proved good and kind, for all children are wont to mischief from time to time, and a present, unlabelled, would be placed with the rest. If the soul proved bitter and twisted, as surely Silas Breens would have done, for it had in the past, then the saint would simply depart and continue his journey around the globe. When the tomtin had been in charge, the rules became distorted. No simple hand on brow when he ruled the roost. Questions would be asked. Questions regarding the catechisms of the Christ child's faith. A present would be had if the child were pious and learnt enough to answer them aright. But should he get them wrong, pain, only pain, followed, of course, by the feed. On seeing the tomtin, Silas Breens had started, and behind his knees he began to quake. Bully he was, and so was also, by rote, a coward. Twisted as his young soul might be, it was as nothing next to the little evil creature whose malevolence was reflected in his grey and sharp countenance. The creature cackled again, and smacked his thin lips in anticipation.
Complete the phrase. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and...
Too easy,
shrieked the tomtin, his black eye smouldering with rage. Yet his rage was misplaced.
It's a boy band, isn't it? Isn't it, Donny?
The tomtin's rage melted into wicked mirth.
Do it,
he cried. A piece of hard coal appeared, as if by magic, for magic it was, in the saint's hand, and he threw it with some force. It struck the hand of the boy, rapping his knuckles hard, and causing him to yelp in pain as he let go of his knees and shook the damaged hand vigorously.
Real questions now,
warned the tomtin.
Jesus means God saves. But who was it who gave him that name?
Am I meant to know that?
asked Silas Breens. But he saw the imploring look in the eyes of the saint, and he knew that he wanted him to give him an answer, and wanted, desperately, for the answer to be correct.
His father?
Guessed the boy.
No.
And knew that he had guessed wrong as the next piece of coal struck him.
Ow!
It's not fair.
At this point, you might be forgiven for believing that we are about to reach the moral of our tale, that perhaps Silas Breens thought on his pain, and the pain he had caused others, and vowed then and there that he would never again cause such hurt. Alas, that is not the case. In fact, if we peeked into the boy's dark soul, we would see that his entire thoughts were centred on how others would suffer, more than usual, for the pain he was currently enduring.
Last question,
the booming voice proclaimed.
Christ is Hebrew for Messiah. But what does Messiah mean?
Silas Breens certainly did not know, but his cowardice had been overcome with anger, and he unquestionably did not want to face another hard coal. Bully boys are, unfortunately, invariably stupid boys, and he cried his defiance.
Your mama.
The final coal flew towards the boy, glancing hard against his head, sending his senses spinning and opening a gash in his forehead that leaked thick, fresh blood. The aroma at once caught the nostrils of the tomtin, for it was the very food of which he had been starved, and, as the boy slid down the wall, the little creature leapt upon his chest. His tongue flicked out and tasted the salty liquid, and it was as though a fire exploded in his mind. In the past there had been so many boys and girls who knew not the most simple of the catechisms that he had paced himself, lapping at the blood of each and filling his belly over the night. Tomtin, however, had been starved for so long that Silas Breens could only be a veritable feast. His teeth became sharpened little daggers within his mouth, and he quickly buried them into the young boy's neck, sucking hard at the blood and nary spilling a drop. The lungs of the tomtin were deceptively large for such a small frame, and he sucked and sucked with such might that the boy was, with impressive speed, drained, pale and dead upon the bed. The tomtin stood, but he had been without his food in such a long time, and the greater the sinner, the heavier the draught. that he staggered as though he were a drunk who had found a whole bottle of rum and devoured it in one gulp. This was the only chance that the saint needed, and he quickly reversed the spell once more, and, once again, he controlled the tomtin, not the other way around. Upon the bracelet, upon the tomtin's wrist, was once again a dull glass bead, but this one was new, and not fragile with age, and no accidental fall would cause it to break, not for some time at least. As for Silas Breens, there was nothing the saint could do. He could feel the shape of a soul to be true, and leave presents for children in the dark of the night. Resurrection, however, was not his skill, and as he and the tomtin left, the boy remained dead, with a ragged hole bitten into his neck, and not a drop of blood in his body. He would be found the next day by his parents, and the police would be duly called. All would agree a great mystery had occurred, but although none would ever be found, rats would be blamed by and by. His mother would wail and gnash her teeth, while secretly, hidden even from himself, his father would be pleased, for his father knew what manner of man his son would have become. Yet his mother would gain, though she would never see, as the presents so carefully wrapped would be returned to the stores, and her credit cards refunded, and her debt would reduce and reduce. As for the other children, who lived close to the home of Silas Breens, perhaps they received the greatest gift of all. Their presents were safe, and, whilst new bullies would come, and new bullies would go, none were as despicable as the boy with a hole in his throat.
Meaning of Christmas was written by Andrew M. Boylan and adapted for audio and directed by Andrew M. Boylan and W. Ralph Walters. The narrator and Silas Breen were played by Andrew M. Boylan. Santa and the Tomtin were played by W. Ralph Walters. The original story can be found at Taliesin Writes the Vampires at taliesinttl2.blogspot.com, or the link can be found in the links of the Zombie Astronaut at www.zombieastronaut.net. The theme song was written by Norm Bourgeois and performed by SongsToWearPants2.com. The Zombie Astronaut's Flights of Fright has been released under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivative license. You may share the work, but you must attribute the work to www.zombieastronaut.net. You may not sell this work, and you may not alter, transform, or build upon it. For more horror and sci-fi audio, visit www.zombieastronaut.net. Okay, people, did anyone get me anything but socks?
I did get you a redwood tree, you ungrateful party pooper, you.
You haven't opened mine.
Okay, let's get this over with. Yep, it's a kazoo.
Not a kazoo, the kazoo. Hand-carved from real, solid, artificial, hollow mahogany with inset genuine faux gemstones. And look, I brought mine.
Great.
Here. Play this sheet music.
You really hate me, don't you?
Just play it. Okay, a one and a two.
you do that on one kazoo?
Yes. Well, and one armpit.
You really are very good.
Yes, and you're remarkably flat.
Ow! What the heck was that for?
Don't look so surprised. I told you I'd whip you into shape. You'll be a regular me, practically. Well, you'll play a mean kazoo anyway.
Oof! Ach, mein Tuchis!
Hands up, Earthlings. We and my army of moon men. Oh, what is it, Sergeant Moonpooter?
The other guys are getting Christmas photos taken at the mall, dude.
Oh, remind me to kill them, will you?
Will do, your kingliness.
I and my army of one.
And Secret Dr. Luna.
And Dr. Luna.
Great Dr. Luna.
Are here to take these presents and kidnap Santa.
Oh, I knew something ridiculous would happen.
Hey, you can't bust in our Christmas party and steal our stuff.
Or me.
Yeah, or, what's his face?
I beg your pardon.
Just try to stop us, undead spaceman. We've got our moon rays back.
Oh, groovy.
Doc.
Oh, relax, baby, and stop harshing my mellow.
We plan on stealing all Santa's presents, kidnapping Santa, bringing him back to the moon, making exact copies of all the presents, and returning to deliver them dressed as Santa.
What the heck is that gonna do?
It will destroy your planet. You see, the duplicate presents will be made out of lead.
And cholesterol?
Yes, lead and cholesterol.
How despicable.
How what?
And there's nothing you can do to... What is that?
Get off my back, you idiots.
I told you we should use the door.
I like falling.
Yes, but you're an idiot. Now push. 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 Push.
Oh, crap!
Oh, man! You squished Bob.
Could somebody give me a moist towelette or something? I am the big Zabu. And these are my brothers. This is the intermediate Zabu.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the intermediate Zabu.
Nice to meet you.
And this is my little brother, the littlest Zabu.
You smell funny. Ow!
Manners, littlest Zabu. Anyway, we're here to exact a clever revenge on this stinking planet. We plan on stealing all Santa's presents, kidnapping Santa, bringing him back to the moon, making exact copies of all the presents, and returning to deliver them, dressed as Santa.
And this will destroy the Earth because the duplicate toys are made of lead.
And cholesterol?
Yeah, lead and cholesterol.
No, you stupid corpse. We plan on stealing all Santas. Wait a second. How did you know what our dastardly and clever plan was?
Because it's our dastardly and clever plan.
Yeah, you Schweinermarschen plan-stifting stummies. How could we steal your plan? We don't even know who you are. That's just idiotic. If you'll forgive my saying so, that's just stupid.
Yeah, stupids. Ow!
Manners. Don't make me tell you again. What was I saying? Oh yeah, if you moronic moon midgets think you can...
You can't talk to me like that, you putrid pusspod.
We're taking Santa, so grab a bottle of Parmesan and put a cork in it.
Say what?
What?
Gotcha. Give me 5, Moon King. No? Well, okay.
You weren't recruited based on your test scores, were you?
The Santa Man comes with us.
Or what, you puny girly king?
My moon goon will finish you off.
Maybe your moon goon would like to suck on this.
Did somebody order a metagalactic pizza?
Shut up. All right, who's next?
Just when it seems hopeless, in comes Vermin Monday, Redneck Spy, Karate.
Ah, my brain again.
Jiu-Jitsu, oh dude, Christmas Punch. Board game.
You sank our battleship.
Another evil plot foiled by Vernon Monday, Redneck Spy. It's all good.
I have no idea what just happened.
Who cares? We still have presents and Santa. Let's eat Christmas dinner.
Excellent suggestion.
Why is everyone looking at me?
Jiminy Cricket, who's burning poop? You know, before we sit down to dinner, I'd like to play one more Christmas song. This goes out to all the Lovecraft fans. Here's Tom Smith with his Christmas song, O Yog Sothoth, the new version.
O Yog Sothoth, O Yog Sothoth, we worship you, O Yog Sothoth. Who's Santa Claus, who's Jesus Christ? We worship Yog 'cause he's not nice. We'll celebrate with some stray dog, which we'll carve up and serve to Yog. O Yog Sothoth, O Yog Sothoth, we beg you do not eat us.
For more Tom Smith, go to TomSmithOnline.com.
I feel like I've learned so much this morning, afternoon, or evening. I've learned that Christmas is about screaming. Lots and lots of screaming. I've learned that there are trees at Christmas, but they're smaller than redwoods. I've learned there are places you really shouldn't keep your pocket fisherman. In fact, there are so many things I've learned about this crazy, crazy holiday, I thought I'd sing a song that would sum all my experiences up. Christmas! Funky Christmas! Christmas! Funky Christmas! This Christmas holiday is just so funky! Christmas! Funky Christmas! Get down with your bad Christmas selves! Christmas! It's funky Christmas! Funky, funky Christmas! Funky, funky Christmas! Everybody loves to get funky on Christmas! It's the funkiest holiday of the year! Yeah! Funky Christmas! This Christmas holiday you speak of is so full of funk! This Christmas holiday is just so funky! Let's get down with our bad Christmas selves!
This has been the Zombie Astronaut's Frequency of Fear. For more horror, sci-fi, and suspense audio, see the website at www.zombieastronaut.net. Right now!
Getting into the Ghoultide Spirit was written by Casey Locke, Brent Hinks, Andrew M. Boylan, and W. Ralph Walters. Andrew M. Boylan appeared as himself. Terry Shevas was Cheesy Chelsea. Dr. Despicable appeared with Frankenstein and Murr. Brent Hinks was Dr. Wilhelm von Martinez, Chainsaw Pete, and Little Zabu. Bill Holweg was Bob Wolfenbridgen. Casey Locke was the intermediate Zabu and Count Goldfarb. Jennifer Walters was Zombalina. Todd Young was the Metagalactic Pizza Guy. All other voices by W. Ralph Walters. The theme song was written by Norm Bourgeois and performed by Papa Suede. All other music was licensed by Big Fish Audio, Pro Loops, Platinum Loops, Loop Masters, or written and performed by W. Ralph Walters. Happy holidays, everyone.
I'm feeling the funky Christmas spirit! Oh yeah! Play that funky Christmas, Santa! You know, Christmas isn't just about funk. I'll bet there's also Tony Danza.
Tony Danza, Tony Danza, Tony Danza, Tony Danza, Tony Danza, Tony Danza,
Tony Danza,
Tony Danza, Tony Danza, Tony Danza,
Tony Danza,
Tony Danza.